So now let's put together the big picture and talk about Lili's game plan in neutral, and then some things she does for offensive pressure, and then what you use for defense. For the most part, you want to play up close with little annoying pokes and your movement. Sidestepping is fantastic. Lili has one of the best. So you really want to use that to your advantage. Throw out a poke and then sidestep and see if you catch a whiff. You want to do this as much as you can as long as the situation permits it. Backdashing is good too, but her sidestep is also excellent. So your annoying little poke game should get you a lot of mileage, but the goal really there is to look for the mistakes. And rather than going for counter hits like some characters, Lili goes for evasion and then punishes that way. As always, whenever you hit with something like that, you usually have the advantage. Whenever something gets blocked, they usually have the advantage. So never forget that. If you just land a simple move like that where you're +8, or that where you're +8, you can go for an offensive mix-up here, right? You can go for a low, you can go for a back one do glide, whatever it might be, depending on the situation again. But just remember that. Whenever something hits, go for some kind of weird little thing. Mix it up and be fresh. Start spinning around, start flipping and dipping, whatever it might be. When you're at middle ranges, defense is pretty good. Lili's good at keeping out, but getting back in, she has a much better arsenal of things. A couple of moves get added in that are really good for approaching and then starting your offense again. So you want to be in close, and you're really good at getting back in close. So that's kind of the general game plan. As far as your move list goes, what you're going to use out in neutral, let's just start with your fastest moves. There are 1, 2 strings that we talked about in Punishers. There's 1, 2, 3, and there's 1, 2, 4. These aren't great, but you can get away with it every so often. That 4 might hit people. That 3 might hit people. It works better if you use 2, 3 and 2, 4 to vary that timing, but really, really good opponents are going to just duck this no matter what. 2, 3 is high-low, and 2, 4 is high-high, so a duck beats both of those. Just, if somebody ducks that, just stop. Throw that out of your move list altogether, move on to something else. You don't really need it. But 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4 stuff can keep them guessing a little bit. And if you're using Punishers, you can just take your +8 and go for something else entirely. You can just do this and then go for a low. You don't have to use the extensions. But better than that is 1, 1. This is a string new to this game, 10 frame, also a natural combo. Gives her an automatic back turn. If it hits, Lili's +4. And if it's blocked, she's -4. This -4 back turn you're going to see a couple of times. It technically takes you 6 frames to turn around and block. So -4 plus an extra 6 is 10. So you can get jab punished by this if you try to block, but you can duck much faster than you can turn around. So you can avoid jab punishes that way. So if something like this gets blocked, you can just kind of do that to retreat. Duck and then block low. Press down and then down back real fast. And you'll just boink. You'll dip out of there. That usually works pretty well. If they're smart enough, they'll go for something a little bit slower and mid like that to catch you. But that's a big mind game. And we can talk about that a little bit more in the back turn stuff later on. So 1, 1 is really good. Overall, you can get a back turn mix up if you're good. And if you block, you can just get out of trouble. Boom. Nice and easy. 4 is a nice fast move. None of the 4s are magic anymore. Lili's finally became a magic 4 toward the end of Tekken 7, and they got rid of it now. But if it hits, you get your nice frame advantage, and you continue from there. It's quick. There's 4, 1, and there's 4, 1, 3. 4, 1 is enough, right? You could go for that every once in a while, but you're kind of just taken away from it. The extra damage isn't worth it, and that can get ducked. So 4 is probably just your best bet. Do that, and if it hits, go for your mix-up. Go for your offense. Better than that still is back 2, 1. This is only 1 frame slower. This is 13. It's high mid, and if it does hit, you get +7 into either back turn by holding back, or into do glide by holding forward. And if you think an opponent wants to try to counterattack that stuff, it has an extension. There's a third hit with 1 + 2. Back to 1 + 2 is a little bit delayable. Counter hit gets you nothing for it, but you do get a nice knockdown. So keep that in mind. It's the back turn and the do glide that you really want. And if this gets blocked, there's your same -4 again, right? -4 back turn. You know how to get out of that. -4 in the do glide, you can always just sidestep out of there and not do anything. You don't have to commit to do glide. Or you have a power crush to defend yourself. Again, we'll cover more of that in general offense, but let it be known that back 2, 1 is one of your fastest, best tools. I like this move a lot. So 1, 1 into back turn, back 2, 1 into back turn or do glide are some of your fastest, useful moves. Let's take a look at mids, where you start to get a lot more traction. These are moves that have a lot more danger built into them, a lot more utility, and can be a little riskier. Her down forward 1 is actually one of the better ones in Tekken now. It's not amazing, but it used to be just garbage. It used to be the worst one. It tracks all the way to her left really well. You get +8 when it hits, right? Always a good frame advantage. You get this hit and mix-up time. Doesn't have to be a big mix-up. You want little hits. You want to do something different. You want to catch them off guard every time. Look for those mistakes. And that includes using your advantage to sidestep, right? You can play passively in bait attacks. Every little thing Lili does should add up to a bigger and bigger puzzle that's harder for them to solve. So down forward 1, generic mid poke, pretty good. Down forward 4-4. This is a lot better in this game now. This is also 13 frames and it's delayable. It's not technically hit confirmable, but you can kind of see, you just do the first hit and you can tell if they were moving at the time and then press the second hit. If they were moving and you got them, let it rip. You got your free hit. It's more of like a flinch confirm. If they were flinching at the time, go ahead and commit to the second hit. Otherwise, just do this and back off. Even if that's blocked, you're still safe at -8. No big deal there. So down forward 4-4 actually became really good, especially because of its speed. Being 13, you can use this in a lot of situations now. That's really going to annoy people. It's getting hit by that low, and there's nothing they can do about it. Forward 1+2, I like this addition a lot. Well, it's an old move, but it's got a new function. On block, it's a safe mid. It's not a big deal. It's very fast. This is only 14 frames. We're still in the really, really fast move territory. Like, you know, you have a fast mid at 12. You've got a good set of generic mids at 13. And right away, this at 14. This is really good. On hits, you get that same forced crouch and you have +4, which is pretty decent. However, the counter hit is where this shines. You see that +12? That's a real 12, which means you can do that. That is guaranteed on counter hit. And on block, the move is totally safe. Really like that a lot. So you can be doing your dance, moving around and poking and whatever, get a jab and go for that, and you get good rewards on counter hit and really no drawbacks. It's a short, fast move. They could step if they're trying to step, but again, that's another level of the mind game, and we'll talk about that later. As far as this move and its function, I like it a lot. Down forward 3, a bit on the slower variety at 20 frames, but this is pretty much the only move Lili has that's plus on block. Nice +8, as we've seen a lot. Tons of things are +8 on hit, right? That's always a good option to have. This is +8 on hit, but it forces them to crouch. And on block, it's +3 with their forced crouch. So this is one of your best frame trap tools as far as on block goes. You can just start throwing this out and use your frame advantage situation much better. And if you get the hit, excellent stuff. You can go for whatever you want there. So down forward 3 is important because it's your only good like advantage tool on block. Forward 4, it's still pretty fast up close. 17 isn't great, but if you catch a good situation, you can go for that. They're not going to like beat you, right? If you're conditioning them well, this is a perfectly fine move to get away from. Still safe on block. So we're all talking about safe on block mids here. These are all good. Even if you lose your turn, so to speak, mids with good extensions and follow-ups and stuff that are safe, love them. Got to use them all the time. Next up is forward 3+4. This is really, really good too, because not only, as you guessed it, safe on block, it jumps over lows, beats lows pretty cleanly. This will floor break on some opponents too. You can use this at the wall and crumple stuns and stuff like that. If they stay on the ground, whoops. Very good move all around. I just like this. There's an extension by pressing 3, 4, but you can't confirm that. You have to just like let it rip, and doing that makes it like -20. You don't ever really want to do that out in the open. You can do that at the wall, but out in the open, forward 3+4 is really good. I mean, naturally it has some good distance because she's cartwheeling at you. It's about a range 2 there. Excellent move. I like this a lot too. Back 1 is one of your best mids for several reasons. Pretty fast. 17 is in the moderately fast category, let's say that. This is your best way to go into do glide for the most part. It gives you the best situation on block. Like if you just do a back 1 and go into do glide and they block it, this has the best option for you out of all of her other choices. We're going to talk about this one a lot in the offense section. It's got its extension with back 1-4, which is only -11 on block. So that's pretty decent to get, you know, that kind of a damage and a knockdown and only have to risk 11. And again, if people are trying to beat this transition, they see you do this transition all the time, and they want to blow you up, go for that, you know? That's what it's there for. And the real crown jewel is on counter hit. You get free damage when you go into do glide. So again, we'll talk about this more later, but you can see right away, this is a good one. Forward 3 is basically the same thing, only not as good, but from further away. You get the same situation. If he gets blocked when you go into do glide, not as good. You don't have the best leverage there, but it's okay. You can always, bail out and stuff. You can always, predict what they're going to do and just YOLO it anyway. It doesn't matter. But this one on hit, guaranteed damage just as well. Does not have to be a counter hit. That on normal hit gets you free damage, including one of your heat engagers. So excellent move. Just a little bit better from farther away. Back one is a little bit better up close. But these are all still safe mids that do all these things. Next up is up back one. This came back in Tekken 7 and they tried to redesign what it does a million times over. Still kind of cool. It's safe, again. And on hit, you get this weird knockdown. The root of all evil stomp is guaranteed. They can't avoid that. Nor down 3. As far as I know, there's no way to avoid that. But what's really cool about it is if they move, you get to tag them with a much bigger hit. Assuming they're going to get up immediately and try to roll or something, which the computer's set to do, you're going to get a free hit whenever this lands. Bang. Just for them trying to move. Otherwise, you guaranteed to get this low, even if they do get up. So, kind of cool. Moves that have follow-ups like that leads to decent damage, and it's still safe. So, up back one, pretty interesting right now. That's all you get, but it's a really, really good situation for you. Your other two key mids I want to talk about are sidestep 3. Again, this is safe. Hits grounded. Guaranteed follow-up. You're getting 40 damage right away there. And the one you just saw me do by accident is now sidestep 4. This one automatically goes into back turn. And if it gets blocked, it's only -2. So that's even, you could just turn around and block. You don't have to do this and then run away like that. You're good. This is a safer way to go into back turn, so to speak. And on hit, you're a plus. So it's cool. This is a good move all around just for that utility. A quick little sidestep and you tag him with this, and you have a nice situation for back turn right there. So let's take a look at lows. They're just going to stand there and block highs and mids all day. You're going to need lows to force their hand, to make them think about mix-ups. Otherwise, they'll just turtle, You really got to abuse some lows, and the more they hate getting abused by lows, the more they're going to duck and open themselves up to your cool stuff like this guy, So the fastest one you have is down 4. This is just bad. It's 12 frames. Yeah, it's fast, but -4 on hit is terrible for you. And launch punishable on block 15? This is terrible. The only thing that's good about it is it ducks under highs. But at this point, if you're worried about a high, just duck. Right? Going for this is you 6 damage and awful. This is, I don't know. This is supposed to be like a check them, panic move, but I would just duck jab or something. I don't know. At least duck jab is good on hit and on block. I don't know what else to do there. That move is just bad. Down 3, however, is really good. This is a standing low, but it's got silly good range. Look how far away she is and catches you in the toes with that. And leaves her +1, so you can go for free jabs from there. Or do it again, right? The first time they get a jab and they get counter hit by that jab or whatever, they're going to realize, okay, this is not my turn. So this move is actually a little bit plus for Lili. Use that to your advantage. Down 3 is really good, mostly because of that range, and it's plus. Probably the best low, right next to down 1-2. This became a natural combo, and that's not a huge amount of damage, but that +3 is nice, and it lets you go into back turn. You can hold back and go for back turn stuff and mix up again right away off of this. If they duck it, you're in trouble, but you can't live your life worried about opponents ducking unseeable lows, right? You're supposed to be unpredictable. You got to go for this stuff once in a while. Like if you go for do glide and you sidestep and go for this low over and over again, they're going to predict it, right? So as long as you keep it fresh, you have no fear about these things getting blocked in reaction. Go for it and party down. So down 1-2 is really good. Lets you go into back turn. Down 1 by itself lets Lili stay crouched. This is one of the few moves she has that can leave her in a crouching state. 2 other lows worth looking at are back turned 2, down 2, back turn down 2, and back turn down 4. Back turn down 2 is 16 frames, which is still pretty fast. And you can see that's an excellent 5 on hit plus the crouching state. And it's only -12 on block. That's pretty decent. It's got a counter hit state too. You can do stuff like that and hit him in the rear. All kind of good options off of that if you get that counter hit. Back turn 4 is just not as good. It's a little bit faster at 14, and it doesn't have a counter hit state. It's just a slightly quicker version. If you're worried about that, mixing them up is always good because they never know which one is going to come out. It's going to change their mindset. Even though they're both just generic pokey lows, so to speak, mixing this up is going to keep them guessing. They're not going to know what's coming, and that's always a good thing. The final low is debatable. Forward, forward, 4. The root of evil at 22 frames should be reactable and be getting blocked, but you'll find out the first time you do this. If you do this in a match and they block it, throw it away. If they don't block it, then you can work with it. On hit, if you hold back, that's a 10 frame advantage, but it's a blockable 10 frames. They used to call that like guard break or something, which is a dumb term, considering the only thing you could do is guard. But during this 10 frames, they can block, as you see there. However, counter hit, that 10 frames they cannot block, and you get a free follow-up. So this low on counter hits, free damage, and your heat engager, already at 46 damage, plus your heat mode. And if nothing else, you know, you're back turned with huge advantage. You can just do whatever you want from there. So if you get that hit, this has a really, really good situation for Lili. It does get blocked, but now it's only -6 if I turn around. Hard to punish that. -12 if I don't. -12 is fine. I'm not super duper scared of that. 12 is pretty good. For a low that dangerous, I like it. So those are lows to keep them honest and make them start ducking. We talked about down 1 as a good low that leaves Lili in a crouching state. A couple things she can do from crouching that are pretty good. One is while standing 4. Guess what? Safe mid again. This knocks down, which is rare for a while standing 4. Gotta like that. While standing 1-2 is not a great neutral poking tool. It is better for punishment, but similar to 1-2 that we talked about in the beginning, they're okay. Like, you could take your chances. If they duck this the first time, stop doing it. If they don't duck this, go for it. Because on hit, you get do glide with excellent advantage. This is one of the best do glides on hit that she can go into. They cannot interrupt what you do. It's party time. So while standing 1-2 is pretty good for that. Just be careful in neutral. Watch out for that duck. It does exist. While standing 1-2-4 is the same thing. Everybody knows that low is coming, but it's got a counter hit launch in it. So sometimes people might, you know, try to jump the gun, and you do get a launch on that. It's happened. Once in a while it happens, but don't count on it. So anyway, while standing 1-2, kind of cool, but watch out for it. From full crouch, you have down forward 1, and you have down forward 3. A nice low mid combination. They both have a counter hit property. Down forward 1 gets you a free stomp or a forward 4, the whole legs of that. And the counter hit on down forward 3 gets you a whole ass combo. Really good stuff. So those are pretty nice. That slide obviously is real bad on block, but the down forward 1, safe. So counter hit mid low mix up from crouch, as well as basic while standing that are pretty darn good. And again, down 1's kind of the only way to get to this. So ways to go into crouch are rare. Down 1 is probably your best shot. Just do that and go for the mid or whatever it might be from there. So that's the bulk of your mid-low poke neutral game. Let's talk about homing moves, because moving sideways is supposed to be Lili's job. If they're getting tired of you doing this and forward 4s and stuff like that, and they're sidestepping you a lot, you need to shut that down immediately. Opponents moving sideways that know what they're doing is very, very dangerous. You really need to shut it down. Again, that's what Lili's supposed to do. You need to do that to them and stop them from doing it to you, just like anything else. First up is 3+4, which is a really long wind up from downtown, but it is a heat engager. I'm not so sure about this. At 23 startup, I don't know. Are people going to start reacting to this and ducking it? It's high? I don't know. I'm not too sure about that one, but it does work from downtown. So we're going to have to find out if it's actually viable or not. Otherwise, quarter circle 2 is an excellent homing move. It says 14 on the meter down below, but the quarter circle do glide input counts. So technically 16 is the fastest you could do this. That's pretty fast. That's a pretty fast homing move, especially considering the fact that you could do it from, like, you know, way out here and do glide in, boop, with the homing that way. This is a huge amount of range that quarter circle 2 can cover. So do glide 2 is excellent. Do glide 2-1, you can kind of confirm the same as we talked about before. If you did this move and you saw them flinch, go ahead and let it rip. You got your second hit, but just be careful. You don't want to really get that block. 13 is kind of a lot at these days. I'm not scared of 12. I don't like 13. Next in your homing moves is forward 3. This is just inferior. It's 20 frames. It's slow, and it's really, really short. This is only good for at the wall or like these situations where they're kind of trapped. They won't be able to backdash out of this range when you do stuff like this to them. That's about it. The wall is okay. That's fine there, and it'll resplat and everything, but just not good as a homing move. Quarter circle 2 is way better in my opinion. Forward 1+2. This is a weird creature. It seems like it's got a funky and slow startup, and it kind of does, but I don't know. You can hold it in and come up to them that way with homing. So if you're just like out here, here I come, and you hold up long enough, it's unblockable. I don't know. Oh, I guess, honestly, if they don't hit you in this time, there's nothing they can do. Because that's an unblockable mid, and it's homing. So technically, that might have some good uses there. They won't be able to avoid that unless they blow you up on the way. But they do have 3.5 minutes to blow you up when you do that. That takes forever. Notice it doesn't count the spinning. It still says 18 frames because it's not counting the spinning. It's only counting the animation part. And that's what makes it feel funky. That little spin is weird. Anyway, play around with it, see what you get. Guess what? It's safe on block, so who cares? Backwards. You got a good homing move and you're back turn 3 now. This is really good for people trying to step out of your mix-ups. You go for this and go for a back turn mix and they can step you. Nah, not doing that anymore. Back turn 3-4. Excellent option. 3-4 I think is always worth it to go for because it's only -12. Back turn 3 by itself is -10. And 3-4 is only -12, and you get follow-ups. So the fact that I could do this, get 52 damage, and I'm only risking 12, that's way better than just doing this and only getting 12 damage out of it and risking myself for -10. You know what I'm saying? Like, risk reward is way in favor of doing the 3-4 all the time. So homing move from back turn 3-4, bang, great stuff. And Feisty Rabbit 3 is homing for what it's worth. I feel like that has to be homing just to like validate its own existence. Same with Edelweiss. Down back 4 is homing. Because if they could step this on top of everything else, it might as well not even be in the game. This might as well not even be in the game, period. But at least for Feisty Rabbit 3, their random dancing around sidestepping cannot avoid this. That'll clip them. So I guess that's okay. You're not going to use it as homing, but it has homing just in case. So that keeps them from moving around on you side to side. Their only choices are to try to run away from you or try to counter hit you up close. And we've already talked about that's what you want. You want to be able to sidestep their counterattacks and you want to be able to keep away from them and run right back in. You want to keep it close on them. So if you're at mid-range, you can do a couple of things, which is basically stay out there or get back in. Moves that become better at mid-range start with Do Glide. Your ability to just do stuff out of Do Glide is kind of cool. So you have, 1, 2, and there's that cancel bait, which is super duper risky, but it's there. You have 2, 1, which is kind of confirmable, and it's homing, so that's pretty good. You have 3+4, which is +6 on block. So having that to get in is excellent. Just being out here and throwing that out, boom, now I'm in their face and I'm +6. Excellent stuff. Do Glide 1-4 is also kind of cool. Leaves you close. -9 isn't great, but it is safe. They could step this if they wanted to, but they can't step that. So all the options you have kind of balance each other. Your Do Glide toolkit becomes good. Do Glide 3, I don't feel like there's too much reason to do that other than it's just safe. I don't know. You could do it. If you want to do that and get back in and just get it blocked, it's not really worth it. As far as the mid-range goes, you want to get back in, that's not one of your better tools. If you want to stay out, that's also not one of your better tools either. So general mid-range, I would stick to those couple, the 1-2, 1-4, and 2-1, and then Do Glide 3+4. 3 enters the fray now. 3 is a weird little kick. There's a 3-1, which is one of your heat engagers, and there's 3-2 that goes into Do Glide. They know you're probably not going to just be throwing out 3-1. It's -13, and again, like we talked about, this is 13. I'm a little scared of -13. Just because it's a heat engager, that's a little bit much to risk. So they know you're not just throwing this out. They know when they see the 3 kick, oh, he's probably doing 3-2 in the Do Glide, so they duck that second hit. The other option is just 3 by itself and do nothing. That leaves you back turned. So this is not the best. As you can see, even on hit, -3, give me a break. Block is already -11. So even out here, if they happen to block that, you're kind of in trouble. You could try to run away, but they can still hit you pretty easily. So 3 is there. I guess if you want to mix all these up, if you want to go for 3-1 occasionally, stop them from ducking and whatever, you could go for this and, I don't know, go for mix-ups, but it's there. 3's got really good range. 3-1 is much better as like a whiff punisher. 3 as a poking tool, It's not great, but it's got range, so you could use it for that if you see fit. A much, much better option, in my opinion, though, is forward 4. Forward 4 has the same range, the safe mid on block, counter hit launcher, right? That checks off every box. I'm good with that move. Forward 4 is just superior. This is your best mid-range move. As we mentioned, you can use it up close. 17 isn't super duper slow, but out here, this move it just wrecks things. The knockback, on block, the hit, everything is fantastic about this move. This is one of your better mid-range tools, period. As far as being in the mid-range, you also have a much better chance of causing whiffs out here. Like one good backdash and you could make a nice whiff happen. So you have your hop kick that's got excellent range to try to whiff punish, or your forward 2-3, which also has excellent range. So out of mid-range, you want to start thinking a little bit more defensive-minded than you do when you're up close, and that includes whiff punishing. So keep those in mind. Your hop kick becomes really valuable out here because it will tag stuff from really far away that you'd be surprised about. As far as getting back in, quarter circle 3-4, do glide 3+4. This is the best get in tool that you have because it's +6 and you're right there. You can't really ask for more than that. Other than people randomly ducking, this is a good choice. Just do glide 3+4 from downtown and you're in. We talked about the do glide 1-2 cancel stuff. You can go for it. I mean, if they attack this gap one time and hop kick you in the back, let it rip the second time and see if you catch them. Other than that, get you in, right? Doing that gets you right on them. And if they're just going to stand there and wait, you got it. But if they're proactive, you got to be careful there. Forward 3+4 now enters the fray. This move is -2 on block, which is pretty solid, causes chip damage. So from way out here, you can do that and get in. This isn't bad at all. It's technically their turn. But I mean, you can, I don't know, go for a quick duck or something. -2 is fine. You still have choices. You can sidestep yourself, right? If this gets blocked, sidestep and bait them. That's what you're going for most of the time anyway. Offense is not about you pressing buttons. Offense is about you running your game plan, which is sometimes press buttons and sometimes avoid and bait their attacks. Down forward 3+4, people would probably argue about all day as a way to get in. I love it. This range is huge, and it catches people right as they come at you. If you're out here and they start just flying at you, odds of them running into that are pretty good. You'll land right on top of them many times. This creates the old -4 back turn thing that we talked about in the beginning. You can get jab punished unless you duck, and otherwise you can duck and get out of there, and you're kind of safe. Technically, you should be able to avoid everything. You just got to realize it. And a smart opponent knows that, and they're going to play the game with you. So every time you do this, you start getting hop kicked in the back, and you're not, you might want to just think about not doing this for a while. But I like down 3-4 a lot because you get a combo on hit. And if they don't react correctly to getting this blocked, you can go for stuff. That's the thing too. If you have them frazzled and they're not being proactive about the gaps, if they're not getting the punishes they should be getting, go for it. So I like down forward 3+4 for that reason. You can duck and get out of there, or you also have a power crush out of back turn, which really backs it up. As long as you're not like super negative, like you have the opponent, right? So they know you can duck the jab punish. So they want to go for like a down forward 1, a 13 frame mid, which would be guaranteed to hit you in this situation, right? Not if you power crush. The power crush will beat that at -4. The power crush will activate in 8 frames, which is 12. So if they go for mids that are 13 frames, you can power crush them out of that mid. So think about that. Again, there's more of that in the offensive section. So that does kind of validate this a little bit. Even on block, you have options still. And those options, as long as you keep them fresh, will keep them from reacting correctly. Forward 3 we mentioned about as a long-range version of back 1. And indeed it is. Got excellent range, doesn't track, but I don't care. It really doesn't matter to me. You're pretty much going to go into do glide by holding forward every time you use this move. Because even on block, -3 isn't that bad. You can sidestep out of trouble, no questions asked. But on hit, guaranteed damage. Do glide 3+4 is free, so is do glide 2-1 for heat mode. Guaranteed on normal hit. That's really good. 38 damage to go into heat mode that you can do from downtown by interrupting with that. A low crushing, flying mid kick into that stuff is really good. Again, if your problem is getting blocked, you also have a power crush. Right? You can do that too. If that's what your opponent's read is, counter read them and use your power crush. The last thing at mid range for getting back in is down 3. This move with its just unholy range hops Lili in real fast with a +1. You're in jab range, go for it. If you're in mid range, you want to keep out. Basically, have forward 4. That's all you need. This is keep out. This is my circle. You get out of it. You stand over there. That's the only move you really need to keep them off your back. This is great. If they come at you and start sidestepping, they dash in and step, dash in and step. They can avoid that. So use your do glide 2. Do glide 2 will kind of check that. It leaves you close. Your game of keep out is now over, but it will catch them sidestepping. So keep out, and if you got to check the sidesteppers, do glide 2. So that's most of your neutral toolkit. Yeah, that's a lot of moves. Highs, mids, lows, a couple tools out of crouching. You got some homing moves. You got a bunch of moves that become a lot more valuable at mid-range. And then you got the new heat system. The new heat system is kind of crap for Lili as far as I'm concerned. I just don't really see the value in it. You basically get 2 things, which are powered up Piercing Thorn. That does more damage. And it gets plus on block, but who cares? What am I doing with that? They're full screen. You might as well just, put your controller down for 5 minutes and come back by the time it takes them to come up to you. I don't know what that's for. So all the versions of Piercing Thorn get that power up. Whatever. It's more damage on hit, and I don't know, it resets neutral hard. Big deal. And then Feisty Rabbit stuff is barely changed. Feisty Rabbit 3 gets a knockdown on normal hit. Still counter hit launcher. Right? You still get that. But normal hit, it knocks down when you're in heat mode. Ooh. That's it. She doesn't get anything else. The only other thing that's interesting is when you do Feisty Rabbit, if you hold it in and hop twice, that refills your heat gauge a little bit. But I digress. It's not a good heat mode, but if you're going to go into heat mode every so often, right? It's still a good tool because you still have your heat smash and stuff available. So while you're in heat mode, you might as well take advantage of what it does, which is extra damage on Piercing Thorns and a Feisty Rabbit 3 that now knocks down. Fantastic. Your Feisty Rabbit 2 is still the heat engager and launcher and stuff, so there's that. So you might as well do heat mode stuff a little bit more while you're in heat mode. It's just not very good in my opinion.